Today, we're talking about a framework that might just shatter everything you thought you knew about setting goals and putting in the work. It's called the 10x rule. And trust me, it's all about blowing your own limits right out of the water. So let me ask you something right off the bat. Are you, right now, underestimating what it really takes to succeed? I mean, think about it. If you've ever set a big goal for yourself and then fallen short, the answer is almost definitely yes. But here's the crazy part. It's probably not your fault. Not really. It's a fundamental flaw in how we're all taught to think about achievement. All right, so let's dig into the core problem this whole idea is built to destroy. We're going to call it the lie of average. This incredibly dangerous belief that just aiming for the middle of the road is somehow a safe and smart bet. You know, from the time we're kids, we're told to be realistic, right? Set achievable goals. Don't stick your neck out too far. But here's the tough truth. Average goals plus average effort, that doesn't get you a safe, average life. It gets you an insecure life, a life where you're always just one step away from disaster. Average isn't safety, it's a trap. And this slide just lays it all out, crystal clear. On one hand, you've got the average mindset. The goals are small, they're reasonable, and the action is just normal. You do what everyone else is doing. And the result? Well, it's pretty much always mediocrity. But then you've got the 10x mindset. The goals are massive. They sound almost crazy to other people. And the action? It's relentless. The outcome isn't just a little success. It's complete and total domination of your space. Okay, so how in the world do we break out of that average trap? Well, that's where we get to the solution, the antidote to all that mediocre thinking, the 10x rule itself. Here it is. It's so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. The rule has two parts, and you can't skip either one. First, you set targets that are 10 times bigger than what you think you want. Not 10% bigger, 10 times. Then, and this is the part everyone forgets, you have to be willing to take 10 times the action you originally thought you'd need. Both pieces are absolutely critical. And look, that 10x isn't just a marketing gimmick. It's literally a calculation for reality. See, we are terrible at estimating how much work, how much money, and how many setbacks we're going to face. The 10x rule is designed to correct for that. It builds so much momentum that it practically guarantees you'll smash through any obstacle that gets in your way. This quote just nails the genius of it. Think about it for a second. If your goal is 10 times bigger than the competition's and you fail, you only hit, say, half of your goal, you are still 5 times further ahead than they are. It completely changes the game. Your failures become bigger than other people's successes. All right, so we get it. Massive action is the secret sauce. But what does that really mean day to day? To really understand it, we've got to break down what are called the 4 levels of action. You know, the number one reason people don't get what they want, it's not because they're not smart enough or their idea sucks. It's because they are operating on the completely wrong frequency of action. It all comes down to the sheer volume and the type of action you're willing to commit to every single day. Okay, let's break these down. At the very bottom, you've got no action. That's just giving up. Then you have what's called normal action. And honestly, this is the most dangerous place to be. This is where most of the world lives, doing just enough to get by, just enough to look busy. It is the definition of average. And then you have level 4, massive action, the 10x level. This is where you're taking so much action so consistently that you create new problems for yourself, like having too many customers. This is the only level where real game-changing success happens. Okay, but here's the thing. You can't just flip a switch and start taking massive action. It's not just about being busy. It takes a complete rewiring of your brain. You have to adopt the 10x mindset and change how you think about the very things that hold everyone else back. First up, let's talk about fear. Most people see fear and they run. The 10x mindset, it leans in. It sees fear as a compass, pointing you in the right direction. When you feel that fear, that little flutter in your stomach, that's a green light. It means you're growing, you're pushing boundaries. Fear isn't a stop sign, it's fuel. And what about obsession? We're taught that's a bad word, right? That you need work-life balance. The 10x rule flips that completely on its head. Obsession isn't a flaw, it's a requirement. You can't achieve something massive by being casual about it. You have to be all in. You have to be obsessed with your goal. It's a gift. This one's going to be blunt.
Excuses, they're poison. There is absolutely no room for them if you're serious about this. An excuse is just a lie you tell yourself to feel better about not doing what you know you need to do. Every time you make an excuse, you're literally choosing to fail.
And we all know the greatest hits, right? I don't have enough time. A 10x person says, I control my time. I don't have the money. The 10x mindset says, I'll get creative and find the money. I don't know how to do it. Well, you start taking action and you figure it out along the way. See, these aren't real reasons. They're just different ways of surrendering. So you've got the mindset, you're taking massive action. Where does all this lead? What's the end game? Well, it's not just success. It's not just winning. The goal is domination, and that means changing the entire game. Yeah, I know that sounds intense, but stick with me here. The logic is perfect. Why would you want to compete in a crowded space fighting for scraps? The point isn't to be a little bit better than your competitor. The point is to do so much, to be so present, to create so much value that in the mind of the customer, you are the only option. Competition becomes totally irrelevant. So how do you do that? It boils down to a few key principles. You have to aim to be everywhere. You have to be willing to outwork, outthink, and outmarket everybody else. You have to show up every single day, no matter what. But that last one, solving obscurity, that is the biggest game of all. Your biggest problem isn't your competitor. It's that people don't know who you are. Attention is everything. So, as we wrap this up, this whole powerful philosophy comes down to one simple, direct question for you. Not for tomorrow, not for next week, for right now. What is one goal you have that you can multiply by 10, and what massive action can you take toward it today? That's the challenge. That's the 10x rule.